that EVM is like a third-party fund distributor, but in reality, we are like one-on-one connection with founders. We don't have any external third-party funding yet so far. Everything we're doing is on a personal level, and our roadmap has been.
So, hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So, I'm recording a podcast after at least 1 to 2 weeks, and we're starting Jan off with a bang. We have Suhas, who is he's currently like giving grants at EVM Capital. So today's episode is going to be majorly a deep dive into EVM Capital, and maybe we might end off with some insights on his life's work, like what he's most passionate about. And yeah, so let's get started. So Suhas, would first like to get into EVM Capital and kind of this idea, like where did this idea come up, like that you wanted to start giving grants to talented builders, and what's the thesis and how can one apply, and like anything you can share, like now's the stage.
Yeah, definitely, Rohi. Thank you for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure here. Hi, everyone. I'm the co-founder of EVM and general partner here at EVM Capital. So, coming to a question, Andrew and I started EVM about like 7 or 8 months back. We both co-founded EVM. Well, we believed that great ideas can come from anyone and from anywhere, and we wanted to support and create a community of ambitious individuals who might not have traditional resources by offering them small microgrants. And our microgrants ranges from $100 to $1,000, and these grants are basically a financial support to help them bring their projects to life. So we try to provide a simple financial support and a community of like-minded creators and ambitious founders who can share ideas and collaborate as a community. And at EVM, our goal is to make sure that anyone who is passionate and ambitious and has a great idea and innovation, we can get them help. We can get them helped with the financial needs to move forward by giving them microgrants without having them to dilute ownerships. So this is how EVM actually started, and people can just visit EVM.capital, and it's a very quick 2 minutes form where they can fill their background details, their past achievements, and what projects are they working on, what's the finance they require, and what's the itinerary cost of these items or the finance they're asking for. And based on this, we evaluate and we give the grants.
Yeah, I think it's super cool what you're doing on the microgrant space, and I'd also love to get into like the early days. So, what was it like prior to EVM Capital, like finding X and finding Andrew and finding all these people to back? Like, how, like, what was the Suhas of like say 7 8 months before EVM Capital doing, and how has his transformation been since starting EVM Capital?
Um, I met Andrew around a year and a half back, or probably like 2 years now. I first met him at Astra. We used to host hackathons, international hackathons together, and he's really good at content and other part of newsletters and all the other content stuff. So I was like really close to him during my time at Astra and hosting hackathons there. Um, Over 5 hackathons hosted, and we became like really close friends. And one day he just DMs me saying, I have an idea for a microgrant. Would you like to help me? And we just like brainstormed a little, and we started off with EVM. And prior to EVM, I and Andrew were really good friends. And um, when I was not working on EVM, I think I was probably working on other side projects and Leapflow basically, majorly. And I also started very off early, and I knew that there are a lot of youngsters out there who are building something really ambitious and very innovative, but the financial need is like the backlog for them, which is like helping them not able to ship the product. So that's where EVM comes in, and I was super passionate about to help the future builders and founders. So I and Andrew just started EVM later on that.
Wow, that's amazing to hear about the power of DMs and the power of connections and relationships and forming those relationships over time. and how finding like common ground activities has also helped, like hackathons, working on side projects, etc., etc. And I think somebody else that's doing a really good job in the young people, supporting young people space, is Julian Weiser, of course, of Merge Club, Merge Grants, etc. What he's doing there is phenomenal. And I think Advik Kapoor also is doing something really good in terms of his microfunding platform for like these youngsters. So it's amazing what those two folks are doing, and also what EVM Capital is doing. So hats off to all the folks that are supporting young builders and trying to get them some backing, because like venture, not everybody is meant for the venture path, right? Like not everybody can
Yes.
get the funding firstly, because they have pedigree, they need pedigree, they need other things they look for. So giving grants is actually a really good way to get that early support, that early belief capital, without actually giving up ownership in the company. So
Yeah.
it's amazing what all these three folks have been doing. And sorry to rant a bit, but I think it's amazing job what all these three people are doing: EVM, Julian Weiser, and Advik. So yeah, amazing stuff going on in that space, and would obviously love to see more people launching grant programs and more people launching these initiatives to support the young builders out there, because they're the future, right? They're the future of the tech, the innovation, and whatever's going to be happening. So yeah, amazing to see that. And now let's get into, like, it's obviously interesting to, like, would be interesting to hear not about Leap Flow. So I wanted to give this more like a deep dive into like EVM Capital. So just talk us through, like, how was it, like, was it difficult raising for EVM Capital? Like, how did that process go? If you had any tips that you could share, like looking back at that experience, like what could you share now for future grant people, like whoever wants to raise a grant now, like a grant program or grant fund?
Yeah, it's really simple. First of all, EVM Capital has not raised any external funding.
Oh
Everything we are
wow.
doing so
So
far has
so
been
you are
funded
doing it
personally.
for funding personally?
Yeah, it's all done personally. There's no
Oh
external
wow, wow. I
funding
had
yet.
no idea. Sorry to cut you off.
Yes, no
I'm
problem.
just I'm just surprised.
A lot of folks still believe that EVM is like a third-party fund distributor, but in reality, we are like one-on-one connection with founders. We don't have any external third-party funding yet so far. Everything we are doing is on a personal level, and our roadmap has been about proving the concept, using our resources efficiently, ensuring that every dollar we deploy to these grantees is aligned with our goal of empowering creators and founders. And we are still growing. We get over like 12, 15 applications per week now, and that's almost like 60 applications per month. And we're actually growing at a very fast pace, and we're still using our personal fund to fund all the applications which we receive and which is a good fit for the community, which we evaluate. And but yeah, now we're working on making a bigger fund and coming up with a bigger fund for much more bigger projects in the near future. And the main reason for us pushing to a bigger fund is we see a lot of innovative hardware projects being built, but the problem is, because we are personally funding it, because we can't go over like $5,000, $10,000 and give out these big micro grant for them. Usually emergent ventures and all the other small micro grant funds run between like $10,000 to $50,000, but ours is like on a lower end side because we are like using it personally. But yeah, we still have plans to expand and make a bigger fund in the future.
Firstly, those are some crazy numbers. So hats off to you and the team for being able to attract that many applicants. I think it just goes to show the growing demand for non-dilutive grants and the entire space. And then secondly, I would love to know, like, what kinds of people do you back? Like, what kinds of youngsters do you back? Like, do you look for a certain like caliber of people, or like is it like a traditional VC, or like in the sense of, like, do you look for like pedigree, team, this, that, like checklist? Like, do you have like that checklist that you publicize somewhere on the internet, or thesis, or investment memo? Like, how do people come to know like what exactly it is that you back?
Um, It's clearly given in our mission and motto. We back ambitious and passionate builders, but we also emphasize on the team. As a traditional investor, we still emphasize on the team because that's probably the single most important thing, or the founder, like the founding team, which is important for us. And typically, in any other VC firm or investment firm, I think ideally they look at the team first, and we too also look at the team as first, and we look at the founder's perspective view actually. So it could be two founders, one founder, or a solo founder. And when we think about startups team or founding team, it's really just three things which we think about. It's relevant domain experience, passion, ambitious, and boundless energy. And the third thing is commitment and long-term vision. So when we talk about the team, the first thing is relevant domain experience. We need to know when the founder or an applicant applies to EVM. We want to know if he or she knows the idea of what they are doing and what needs to be done, what's the core problem they're trying to solve. And you have to think about a little bit about how it's not only about building a startup, but it's also about building an impact with it. So we look into this as the first major, that's domain experiences. And secondly, it's important for us to look into the skill set of the founder. This could be from their previous background. This should be their achievements, their experiences, their past projects. And that's the heart and mission of EVM, the mission, vision, and passion and ambitious of these young builders. That's the second thing which we look at. And the third thing is commitment, because building a startup or a long-term project is like 24/7 days of work. It can be a long-term game, like 3 years or 5 years, and to do that you can only do it if you have the incredible energy and passion and energy, right? And a commitment comes only when you have this. And the long-term vision is of course what we look when we are reviewing an application, is whether this is serving a purposeful goal, or this is trying to build a good impact, or is it like a really innovative project.
Yeah, I think those three things are pretty interesting, and I think that would serve as a good basis for folks listening today who are young, who are ambitious, who are trying to build something out of the world, or just trying to innovate in their category. And I think that's a good kind of thing that you guys are doing. And then I think the next thing is, like, I wanted to get into, how do you build conviction in these grantees? So say you have around 12-15 applicants a week, you get 60 applications a month. So how do you eventually go about building that conviction? Like, do you do video calls with the grantees, like potential people? And also, I would love to know, like, how do you position yourself as in comparison to, like, say Emergent Ventures or some of these bigger kind of players in the space? Like, how do you attract these grantees to come to you versus as their first kind of place where they apply, versus say going to Emergent Ventures? Like, how are you looking at positioning at the moment?
So there's actually a really fun thing. We have been the first check givers to some of our grantees, and later on, Emergent Ventures have been their follow-up grant givers. So ideally, we had one candidate who had applied to Emergent Ventures but got rejected, and later applied to other small micro grants. And he was one of Bagel Fund's grantee as well, and he was also EVM's grantee. And the small $600, $500 check eventually led him to get a $10,000, $9,000 grant from Emergent Ventures. So it's like we are the first check givers, and then there's a follow-up given. But ideally, we are like really small grant givers compared to Emergent Ventures and Magnificent Grants and other Z Fellows and all the other grants they give. I think their range is about like 50K and till 100K or $500,000, and I think it goes on. And I don't think Emergent Ventures has like an age limit, and so does EVM. It's all open to public and to apply for any young builders. But coming to the question, building conviction, It's really simple when you break it down. It comes down to like two main things, which is performance and the team you build. First, coming to performance, we think about the team members and the founder who applies. Can he or she deliver consistent high level performance over time? And the second thing is, can you build a talented, passionate team that's excited to work towards your vision? A team that believes in what you're doing and is fully invested in the project success. So these are the two things which we look to build conviction. It's a really simple process which we do when an applicant applies through our website. We go through the auto-sorted list of the applicants. We shortlist among all of them, and then we do a 10 minutes video call with them to understand what their visions are, goals are, and we read the memo and understand the founder's background. And then we take the next steps forward from there. So for solo founders, we look at high performance, past project awards, if any, as an ideal way to measure. And these two things are the most that matters to us, and every application we review is measured by these criteria.
So I'm most curious to know now, like how did you come up with like all these criteria? Like, were you inspired by like the larger VC funds like A16Z, or like were there some, who's the inspiration kind of? Like, I'm just super curious. Like, how did you like come up with these guidelines or like this like framework for like all these different things? Cause like, yeah, I'm just curious to know.
I've been reading a lot of newsletters. Like, for example, you talked about Julian Weiser. He writes Founders with Text. I've read all those newsletters. I have watched some podcasts with A16Z. Of course, A16Z is one of my like favorite venture capital firm. A16Z, Sequoia, all of these big firms. And me personally being pitching to venture capitalists. These are the criteria which they mostly look at, but on a higher level, they look into traffic, their market share, and all of those criteria and metrics. But we don't look into those. We look into the ideal base level of any investor looks into. We look into like users, what type of users they are trying to target, and whatever project they're building with an impact, and he or she's background. That's the only criteria we look into. And if you compare us with a venture capital firm kind of like deep dives into more like, what's your 1 year, 5 years roadmap? Well, what's your ideal customer target? What's your like pricing tiers? We don't do all of this. We solely give grants based on applicants' background and their persistence to build.
That's amazing. I think persistence to build and applicant background is the right way to go. And so let's get into lastly, what is your life's work? Like, what are you most passionate about at this age or this phase of your life, and what would you continue doing? Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into.
Um, that's a like very tricky question because it keeps changing every 6 months. But ideally, right now, I would love to continue backing the future builders because um, I've seen like a ton of other builders, like 13 years or 14 years old, who are like applying to grants, and they have like this crazy projects they are building. And especially now, since the AI boom, there's a ton of hardware projects that are being built, and I'm super inspired by these projects, and I'm continuously looking forward to back the future. That's something which I'm passionate about. Apart from that, I'm super bullish on AI right now, AI in hardware and AI in software. AI in general, actually, they have a tremendous potential in coming years. And apart from that, blockchain, crypto is something which I'm really passionate about. I believe stable coins are a really another alternative to digital currencies. And uh, these are like some of the things which I'm currently passionate about and would love to work on.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting to hear your take as well on like how this is kind of your life's work, like what you're doing right now. And obviously, you said that changes, so maybe in 6 months' time it will be something else. And I think that's the beauty of life, right? Like, we are always changing, we're always evolving, and it's great to see young folks supporting other young folks as well. I think that's really a good thing to be doing that. And so let's just get into like, if you could share now, like what are your socials and like how the audience can reach you, how they can like learn more about EVM Capital. I guess like now's the stage to kind of share all that.
You can visit our website. It's evm.capital, and we have laid down our vision, mission, frequently asked questions, and our community is there to support you. You can join our Discord. It's the link is available on the site, where you can meet other builders and our grantees, where you can ask them some questions, how they got the grant, what are they building on. You can also find your potential co-founder there. So we kind of like build a community around the grant so that others can get benefit from them, even though they are not applying for a grant. Ideally, to find a teammate. So if you're looking for a teammate, a co-founder, or anybody, feel free to join EVM's Discord server, and the link is in evm.capital site. And I'm just like a text away from any messages. I'm pretty my email address is very much public. It's my first name, A, and last name at gmail.com. I'm pretty sure the name would be on the title, so you could use that as a reference. And I'm always a DM away on Discord and Twitter. My Twitter and Discord ID are the same. It's Suhas A Sumukh, and my email is suhasasumukh at gmail.com. I'm very much available for any queries or any questions you. I'm ready to answer them.
Amazing, amazing. So it was super epic to start the year off with hosting you on the podcast. So yeah, grateful for your time today, and I'll just